This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
A surprise finale. This was how the American President Barack Obama decided to end his two-week tour to European capitals and centers of decision-making. He visited Ankara because he sees it as a bridge to the Islamic world. His final destination was Baghdad, due to the importance of inspecting the situation on the ground, since his administration prioritized Iraq and Afghanistan. We leave you with Asman Houri.
Yesterday's surprise became today's newspaper headlines. Iraqis were preoccupied by Obama's visit to their capital, though he did not venture far from his starting point. There were mixed reactions.
The new American president is sincerely and truly welcomed on the Iraqi street.
I would like to say to Obama that once security is established in the coming days and coming years, go back to where you came from. So we say to the occupation, go back to where you came from.
If Obama has good intentions for Iraq, we will welcome him. But if he is going to be the same as President Bush, we will not welcome him.
Obama's visit is aimed at two target audiences, though the primary target is the Americans. Obama needed to assure the soldiers that there's a change in the administration's policies towards Iraq, that the time to return to their homeland is close.
It is time for us to transition.
It is time for us to transition the responsibility to the Iraqis, who need to control matters and must be independent and sovereign in their own country.
This warm welcome indicates that these soldiers feel that they are about to return to their homes. Obama's discussions with the Iraqi authorities were limited to a meeting with Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki at a base near the Baghdad airport. Weather conditions prevented Obama's plane from flying to other areas. The part of the visit pertaining to the Iraqi state of affairs was relegated to televised meetings between Obama and Iraqi officials, shown on American televisions for merely one day.
Iraq, the last stop on Obama's overseas trip, witnessed the return of fatal explosions which claimed the lives of more victims. 7 dead and 23 injured is the result of a bomb that went off in a neighborhood north of the capital, Baghdad. Yesterday, the same neighborhood saw the explosion of a bomb that resulted in 9 dead and 20 others injured.
Iraqi security forces arrested 11 members of a Sahwat Council forces in Baghdad in recent days. One of the Sahwat Council leaders in the Dura neighborhood said that the Iraqi security forces arrested 10 members of the Sahwat forces in Dura, including local leaders. He claimed that the defendants were accused of terrorism. In Al-Ghazaliya, Lieutenant Colonel Shuja' al-Azami, the leader of the Sahwat in the region, said that the security forces released Lieutenant Ra'ad Ali 1 week after his arrest. He said that a Sahwat Council and Iraqi security forces are cooperating with one another and that the security situation is very stable. Meanwhile, the Iraqi Defense Ministry will begin paying the salaries of a Sahwat Council on Thursday. The salaries were delayed until 2009 budget was passed. General Jeffrey Colmeyer said that the salaries were delayed due to amendments in the 2009 budget.
بعض قيادات مجالس الصحوة وعناصرها في العراق قالت إنها تفكر
Some of the Al-Sahwa Council forces said that they might stop working in the streets for fear that they will be targeted by the Iraqi security forces in retaliation for lawsuits that were made against them. The Al-Sahwa Council said that what is happening is due to a change in the government's policy towards Al-Sahwa Council members. They warned that Al-Sahwa Council members may withdraw from the streets, which may affect the security situation negatively, especially after some leaders have already withdrawn due to fear of legal problems. Some of the Al-Sahwa Council has taken measures to avoid being arrested by security forces, especially after warrants were issued against some of them. They warned that this may affect the ability of some of the Al-Sahwa Council forces to fulfill their security missions. Last week, the Iraqi forces arrested the leader of the Al-Sahwa Council in Al-Fadl area and a member of his aides. Government spokesman denied that the government has any intention to target the Al-Sahwa forces. He said that what is happening does not mean that they are being targeted. He also claimed the man who was arrested in Al-Fadl was wanted for legal violations and was blackmailing residents in the area. According to sources from the area of Al-Fadl, Hashim al-Naimi was appointed as the leader of the Sahwa Council in Al-Fadl area to take over for his predecessor, the arrested man al-Mashadani. According to the same sources, al-Naimi has started to regroup Al-Sahwa Council forces. U.S. forces, which continue to watch what is happening, handed over all of the responsibilities of 49,000 Sahwa forces to the Iraqi government. The fact that the salaries of these forces in all provinces were paid confirms this transfer of responsibility. This was also confirmed by the U.S. military, which is a great victory because it shows that the Iraqi government is committed to supporting the Sahwa Council forces. The latest step of the transfer of responsibilities of the Al-Sahwa Council to the Iraqi government is the transfer of the 10,000 Sahwa forces of Salah al-Din to the government.
The salaries of the armed forces and the National Guards are paid on time. Why are they delaying the salaries of the Al-Sawat Council? We feel the government has ill intentions. We talked to officials, but they did not have answers. These policies affect the morale of the Al-Sawat Council forces.
بدوره أعلن اللواء قاسم عطا أن القيادة باشرت بتسلم رواتب الصحوات.
Major General Qasim Atta said that the Iraqi Sahwa leadership has started to receive the salaries of Sahwa forces and that they will be distributed next week. Al-Sahwa forces are vocal in their complaints about these delays, which exceeded 2 months. This comes amidst a lot of talk about what is happening to Al-Sahwa forces in regards to how the government deals with them. This is a major test of the government's ability to achieve reconciliation after years of bloodshed in the country.
Orphaned Iraqi children are living under harsh conditions. In contrast to the vast majority of Iraqi orphans, foster children living in government-run orphanages are considered to be lucky due to the moral and financial support they receive in these centers. However, many orphaned children are still without help, waiting for the government to provide them with basic necessities. Ibrahim Saleh compiled the following report.
يوم اليتيم العربي يمر على العراق وأيتامه بين معتن به ومهمل فالأعداد الكبيرة.
Among care and neglect, Iraqi orphans have celebrated International Orphan Day. A large number of Iraqi children have lost their parents during the years of war and bloody violence that rocked the country. Meanwhile, the amount of help and support Iraqi orphans are receiving is not enough to meet their basic needs, with the exception of some considered to be lucky due to living in the care of government-run foster homes. Despite the high level of care enjoyed by the orphans in foster homes, some officials issued a public plea, calling on society at large to pledge support, morally and financially, to the children.
This orphanage is devoted to the care of children whose parents are deceased or otherwise unable to care for them due to divorce, separation, or prison. In addition, some of the children whose parents are reported missing are brought here by hospitals or police departments. These are the types of cases that we deal with here.
We hereby call on the general public, especially businessmen, large companies, and those who are well off, to pledge help and support for the children. For example, they can help open a child care center or a school for the children. Also, they can help pay for the children's education until the time of graduation.
Meanwhile, a large segment of Iraqi orphans who have lost their mothers, fathers, or both parents in the latest cycle of violence are demanding the Iraqi government grant them their rights and help them meet their basic needs.
On July 19th, this orphan's father left his home in his car, and he was killed in the area of Dura. He was gunned down in a terrorist attack. He was buried by the Adeli coroner's office. The child is 6 months old, and his mother got remarried. I was appointed as his guardian, so I decided to adopt him. We now live together at a rental apartment.
This orphan's father was killed in 2006. He didn't have anyone to provide for him. We don't have any source of income.
The number of orphan children is on the rise in Iraq due to terrorist attacks. The children need the help of the public more than they need the help of officials because we are closer to them than the government. We urge Iraqi families to adopt or sponsor orphan children.
Meanwhile, several governments and non-governmental organizations have celebrated International Orphan Day, which falls each year on the first week of April. The celebration included entertainment activities and the distribution of gifts to the orphans, in hopes that the celebration will make up for part of the loss of losing their parents. Ibrahim Saleh, Alsumaria.
Iraq's Ministry of Oil has published a list of 9 foreign companies approved to bid for 11 of Iraq's gas and oil fields for development. The ministry has stated that the 9 companies can participate in the second bidding round that was launched on December 31st, 2008.
يومكم أفاد مصدر طبي فلسطيني بأن 11 فلسطينيا أصيبوا.
According to a Palestinian medical source, 12 Palestinians were wounded by Israeli gunfire during clashes that erupted in the village of Safa near Hebron.
عندما حاول مستوطنون يهود اقتحام القرية وقد تصدى المواطنون الفلسطينيون.
This comes after Jewish settlers tried to march into the village but were confronted by the residents who threw stones at them. The Israeli army said that its soldiers opened fire after the residents threw stones at them. We are joined from the village of Safa near Beit Omar by our correspondent Shireen Abu Akla. Shireen, what is the atmosphere in the village? Is it calm or tense?
Yes, we can say that the situation is somewhat calmer than it was in the morning. Much of the deployed Israeli occupation forces, including all ground troops and several military vehicles, have withdrawn from the village. The occupation forces rolled this morning into the town of Safa. At 6 a.m., dozens of Jewish settlers held prayers on a nearby hill, which you could see in the background of the footage. The hill is located just a few meters away from the front doors of Palestinian homes. According to the Israeli army, the settlers, who had come from the settlement of Beit Ayin, had a permit to hold prayers on the hill. After the prayers, the settlers started to move closer to Palestinian homes. This is when they were confronted by the residents, who summoned help from nearby villages. Then clashes erupted between the residents and the settlers, prompting the Israeli occupation army to deploy its troops in the village. Instead of escorting the settlers out of the village, the Israeli occupation forces opened fire at the residents. Fierce clashes erupted between the Palestinian residents from one side and the settlers and the Israeli occupation forces on the other. According to the residents, the settlers stormed into the village and started attacking them. Eyewitnesses in the village have confirmed that the settlers were armed and they opened fire on the residents. In addition, the Israeli occupation forces fired live ammunition and rubber bullets, as well as tear gas and sound bombs at the residents.
قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي أيضا فتحت النار باتجاه المواطنين أطلقت قنابل الغاز والصوت والرصاص المطاط.
According to medical sources, more than 11 Palestinians were wounded after being hit by live ammunition. Also, several residents have experienced breathing problems due to tear gas inhalation. The village is now relatively calm, and most of the Israeli occupation forces withdrew. However, some of the homes are still being occupied by the Israeli army.
Shireen Abu Akla, reporting from the village of Safa. Thank you very much.
A short while ago, the Israeli authorities returned the body of Palestinian youth Iyad Ewiset, who was killed yesterday by the Israeli army in the village of Sorbaher, south of occupied Jerusalem. The army claims that Ewiset tried to run over a group of Border Patrol officers. However, some eyewitnesses told Al Jazeera that the man never made an attempt on the lives of the officers and that he was killed in cold blood. The village of Sorbaher has witnessed fierce confrontations between Palestinian youth and the Israeli occupation forces. This comes after the Israeli army surrounded the village and demolished the home of Hussam Dewiyat, who carried out the bulldozer attack in Jerusalem last July.
Minister Avigdor Lieberman attended the Israel Beitenu convention and assured party members that despite an ongoing criminal investigation into his affairs, he would remain foreign minister for the next 4.5 years. Once again, Lieberman used tough language in describing Israel's foreign policy. Alluding to U.S. pressure for a two-state solution, Lieberman said, "We do not intervene in the affairs of others, and the world should not stand over us with a stopwatch and must be ready to listen to new ideas." U.S. State Department reaction to Lieberman's words was not long in coming. State Department spokesman Robert Wood made it clear that Washington stands fully behind the two-state solution as the only viable option. Wood also said that Special Envoy George Mitchell will be back in the region next week to, quote, continue discussions on how we can move back to a very positive track with the goal being a two-state solution. Despite being banned from entering Gaza by Israeli security officials, Sinn Féin leader Jerry Adams made it to the Hamas-controlled coastal strip anyway. In a speech to reporters, Adams reiterated his call for dialogue in the region. That point had been an issue for Israeli security forces, who had said they oppose Adams' visit to Cairo because he planned to meet with Hamas. Adams did not deny plans to meet with the terrorist group and instead said he would meet with whoever was available. Adams said that although the conflict in Northern Ireland is different from that in the Middle East, there are similarities.
I witnessed what was happening here back in Ireland on the television screens, and I said then that what is happening here is totally and absolutely wrong, and it should cease. And nothing prepares you for the sight that's all around us, and that confirms my view that what happened here is wrong and it should stop.
تخلد إيران بعد غد الخميس الذكرى الثالثة لليوم الوطني للتقنية النووية.
On Thursday, Iran will commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the National Day for Nuclear Technology, the day that nuclear experts announced that their expertise had enabled them to enrich uranium. The Iranian nuclear program has experienced several milestones throughout the past 60 years, the first of which was characterized by a reliance on the West. During the era of the Shah, the reliance was expertise after the victory of the Islamic Revolution.
قصة البرنامج النووي الإيراني قد تبقى لحظاتها مؤرخة لعلاقة إيران.
The history of the Iranian nuclear program includes milestones in the relations between Iran and the West, especially with the United States of America. The program's history begins during the second half of the last century with the blessings of the United States. President Eisenhower, who warned of the Soviet danger, decided to give Iran nuclear technology in order to maintain American influence in the region. The first step was to make Tehran a member of the International Atomic Energy Agency in 1958. Subsequently, the United States supplied Iran with nuclear research facilities, which would allow them to enrich uranium by 39%. In 1974, there was an agreement reached with the Stanford Institute, which put in place a strategy to build 23 nuclear sites, producing 20,000 megawatts of energy by the end of 1995. This American presence drew Western nations to the Iranian market. France and Germany became involved in many Iranian nuclear technology projects.
مساهمة بنسبة 10%.
Iran contributed 10% to the French Eurodi Institute to enrich uranium. An agreement was signed with the German Siemens company to build the Bushehr facility. The Iranian nuclear program entered another stage after the victory of the Islamic Revolution.
فداعموه بالأمس أصبحوا أعداءه اليوم.
Yesterday's supporters became today's enemies. Siemens stopped its work in Bushehr. All collaborative projects that were agreed on in the past were stopped. The new situation forced Iran on a different path that was based on a reliance on its own capabilities and working with its allies. In 1992, a nuclear cooperation agreement was signed with Russia. After 3 years, Russia agreed to complete the work on the Bushehr nuclear facility. The site waits to resume work in the coming months. Iranian ambitions became capable of completing a full cycle of enriched uranium. A strategy was put in place to erect 50,000 centrifuge systems. Iran is embarking on a new project to establish 20 nuclear sites in the next 20 years that will produce 20,000 megawatts of energy.
He went to the hospital under the impression that his kidney stone would be removed. Instead, he left the hospital without a kidney. Another man was conned into giving up his kidney and received nothing for it. These are some of the stories that surfaced in Egypt following the financial crisis, as ordinary people have fallen victim to the tricks of the organ trade mafia.
جدل واسع النطاق يدور في مصر منذ أكثر من 10 سنوات.
Organ transplant has generated a big controversy in Egypt for more than 10 years amidst repeated warnings about the so-called organ trade mafia. Poverty has forced this young man to sell one of his kidneys, but he did not even get the money he was promised.
I signed the release form and the reservation was made for me at the hospital. They deposited £24,000 at the hospital safe and they told me that I will receive the rest after the operation.
The right kidney of this other young man was stolen from him. He was told that he needed an operation to remove a kidney stone, but he later realized that his kidney was missing.
The doctor told me that I needed a blood analysis. After the tests, he told me that a kidney stone needed to be removed. After the surgery, I went to my hometown, but I was feeling bad. So I went to see another doctor, and he told me that my kidney was stolen from me.
There are many swindling and fraud schemes in the organ trade in Egypt. However, the end result in most cases is the same.
The patient is admitted to the hospital sometimes while he's unconscious. They record his name as Patient A. They do not use his real name. If someday he were to make a police report, he can't prove that he was in the hospital because his real name was never used.
The Egyptian parliament is still divided over the special law that regulates organ transplants, especially when it comes to transplanting organs from the dead to the living.
If the culture of donating organs was spread in the Egyptian society, and if there were laws allowing for transplanting organs from the dead to the living, then this problem would have been minimized to a great extent. The new law calls for punishment.
The fate of the patients in need of organ transplants remains in limbo until new laws that may eliminate the organ trade mafia are passed. Yasser Muhammad Ali, Al Arabiya.
A week of national mourning is underway to remember those who were killed in Rwanda's genocide. It's 15 years since more than 1 million people, mostly ethnic minority Tutsis, were slaughtered. Massive candlelit vigils like this one in the capital, Kigali, are being staged. But amid the tales of horror that vicious ethnic divisions between Hutus and Tutsis produce, there are stories of hope and humanity. Yvonne Dege reports.
The Interahamwe came in, pushed the door, took machetes, and cut. I was lying here on the floor. One shouted, "She's still alive." So they cut me here with a panga, deep.
Alphonsine relives the moment she truly believed she was seconds away from death.
As I lay bleeding, the ringleader told the attackers to get out of the mosque so the Muslims would not find them here. Then the Muslim men came and rescued me. They took me into one of their homes.
Alphonsine was saved by people who at the time were deemed less human than herself, Muslims like Rashid. He saved her life. He was the imam at the mosque where she and hundreds of Tutsis were hiding.
The reason people came to seek refuge in the mosque was because we were known for rescuing people. I called on Muslims to bring food and supplies to people hiding inside. I was under pressure to abandon the Tutsis to death because I myself am a Hutu. But I was determined to be with them and if need be to die with them.
Thousands of Tutsis sought refuge in the country's mosques because many Hutus believed Islam to be evil and so were afraid to enter them.
People were taught in this country, right in the churches, that do not enter the mosques because mosques are full of devil. Do not enter the homes of the Muslims because these homes are full of devil. Do not open the Quran, because once you open the Quran, you'll go mad. Do not even shake hands with the Muslims, because these people are just devil on earth.
When Belgian colonizers arrived in Rwanda, backed by the Catholic Church, they divided Tutsis and Hutus according to physical appearance, tall and thin, short and fat. Muslims among them were considered the lowest. They were forbidden to own land and denied basic education. Classic divide and rule. The role of Islam during the genocide contrasts sharply with that of the Catholic Church. Up to today, the Church rejects institutional culpability for the genocide, even though tens of thousands of people were slaughtered inside churches, many betrayed by their leaders.
To me, I will never really say Catholic. I will say bad follower or bad followers of that faith. Because the Church did not fail, people really they went down completely to the lowest stage of humanity. They went even lower, the animals, but not the Church, and not the Bible, and not the teachings of Jesus, may peace be upon him.
Alphonsine and other Tutsi survivors will always remember the unsung Muslim Hutus who put their faith before ethnic loyalty to save lives. Yvonne Dege, Al Jazeera, Mabare, Rwanda.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.